Viewers, drop your local time and where you're tuning in from because the next few minutes will take you straight into a Chicago evening where the glow of sunset hides something no family should have to face. The road is quiet, lined with sycamores swaying in the breeze, their shadows flickering over Malik Carter's hands on the worn steering wheel of his father's old Ford. His muscles hum with that pleasant ache from track practice, the kind that makes you think of cold soda and couch naps. He's got a text from his dad waiting in the cup holder, probably about grabbing milk, but figures he'll answer at the gas station. That hesitation, the kind you might take to dodge a spam call, will be the last gentle moment for a long while. Blue lights bloom in the rear view. One car becomes two, then three, sliding into formation with the kind of precision you normally see in movies or a synchronized swim team that's way too aggressive. He checks himself 43 in a 45, seatbelt on, music low. His father had drilled it into him. Hands visible, voice calm, breathing steady. But Officer Cade doesn't come with calm. The door yanks open so hard it smacks Malik's knee, a jolt that tells him this isn't about a ticket. The air shifts thicker now, heavier while two more officers circle into a loose triangle. Questions are met with silence. Then a grip too tight on his forearm, a shove, a knee to his back. Gravel scrapes his cheek, the taste of iron spreading in his mouth. Somewhere above, someone mutters, "Stop resisting," like an actor who forgot the rest of his lines. Historians still argue whether silence is protection or permission. Here, it's neither. It's the sound of boots on ribs, of a young man's world narrowing to pain and pulse lights. Hours later, in the hospital, David Carter stands at the foot of his son's bed. Wires snake over Malik's body like a bad installation job, his jaw wired shut, his chest rising carefully. David's fingers grip the bed rail hard enough to make his knuckles pale. He listens to the doctor's calm, list fractured ribs, broken jaw, no internal bleeding, and files it away like evidence. He's been here before on the wrong side of protocol, and he knows what the district attorney will say before he hears it. When the file lands thin on the desk, insufficient evidence to proceed, he feels the old self stirring, the man who never waited for permission. By the time he leaves the courthouse, the decision is already alive inside him. At home, he flips open a black phone that hasn't seen daylight in a decade. There are only a few numbers, coded in initials. His thumb pauses, then presses. The voice that answers doesn't say hello. David only says, "I need a favor." The reply is short, "Same place?" And when David answers "same place," the line goes dead. The old auto shop smells of oil and dust, the air holding echoes of years when a wrench in the dark might have been the least dangerous thing in the room. One by one, they arrive: Tank, Benny DeRay, and ghost old friend from older times, men who never bother with handshakes, but who show up without needing to be asked. They form a half circle in the half-light, eyes moving from the folder on the workbench to David, who spreads out photographs, badge numbers, notes in tight block letters. The question isn't why, they already know why. It's what's the plan? The answer, as quiet as the rustle of pages. First they watch. They make these officers feel the cold eyes that watched Malik. Make them understand what it's like to live waiting for a moment when the rules no longer matter. "No kids," Ghost says. David's nod is final: no kids, not ever. This isn't about crossing certain lines. It's about redrawing the map, street by street, fear by fear. They move with the calm of men who know what it is to be invisible. Tank watches precinct routes. Benny snaps photos from impossible angles. DeRay tails the officers like he's reading traffic in a foreign tongue, and Ghost fades between home and shadow, leaving only a whisper of movement behind. Historians still debate if all revolutions start in the open or if most begin with small, private gestures: burner phones, nods at midnight, a map spread under a single light bulb. A week of surveillance becomes choreography. The officers Cade, Sutter, Kaidair map tighter than a city sewer system, their habits cataloged with almost affectionate precision. David stands across the street from their houses some nights, wishing Malik had grown up somewhere this safe, before remembering it's just an illusion. Then the first act. In the thick darkness of a cul-de-sac at 3 a.m., Sutter's SUV goes up in flames, windows shattering out. The blaze so sudden that his pajama-clad dash into the yard seems almost slapstick, if not for the terror underneath. Across the sidewalk, a red spray-painted warning. "My son's pain costs more than your badge." The phrase glistens in firelight, sharp as a broken promise. Tank, Benny, Dure, and Ghost don't linger. They watch the message land neighbors at their windows, Sutter frozen in shock, then slide into the night. By dawn, news vans snake cables across the pavement, reporters hunting for a fresh outrage, and the police chief stumbles through a statement about targeted acts. Back at the shop, nobody celebrates. This isn't victory. It's the first lever against a wall that's been standing too long. "We let it breathe now," David says, and his crew nods. Let them feel the quiet. Let the fear settle. The packages come at dawn, as subtle as a headache and twice as hard to ignore. One officer finds a box on his porch inside, a charred sleeve from a police uniform and photos of his family marked with red lines, as if a kindergartner with a grudge had discovered symbolism. Another opens to a badge snapped in half and his son's old drawing, vandalized with crimson streaks. No notes are needed, though some get one, an eye for an eye. The message is clear enough that even the department gossip, who once spread rumors about haunted microwaves in the break room, falls silent. Historians still argue whether fear spreads faster through rumor or lived experience, but at the precinct, it's panic by osmosis. Officers double lock doors, scan their mirrors twice, and keep sidearms under their pillows. Sutter sits alone in the break room, flipping his badge like a poker chip with a losing hand. The system is unraveling, thread by thread, every package and every sleepless night pulling another stitch loose. The next act moves from warnings to reckoning. In a dive bar's neon twilight, two officers, Sanders and Dunlap, leave for the night and are quietly swept into a waiting van by David's crew. They're bound, hooded, and later found tied to trees at dawn, badges hammered above their heads, bark gouged with the words, "You can't breathe now either." The news cycles go wild, helicopters circling, police chiefs promising answers no one believes. Tank tells David, "They'll move differently now." David's nod is a whisper. Good. They should be looking over their shoulders. Some officers disappear, others stay late at their desks, nursing cold coffee and colder suspicions. Protocol and procedure ring hollow now. Riker, one of the ringleaders, tries to run only to find himself boxed in on a country road, pulled from his cab, and confronted by David himself. "You had your traffic stop now, I have mine," David says, calm as a heart rate monitor before the spike. Riker vanishes into the night, his absence unspoken but deeply felt. Weeks blur. The city carries on, but at the precinct, the laughter is gone. New recruits learn silence before stories, and those who once swaggered now glance over their shoulders at every creak. Ghost sums it up best. They're not sleeping right now. David lets the silence answer. One soft afternoon, a white medical van brings Malik home. Thinner, jaw still wired, but eyes bright with something that looks a lot like hope. The crew gathers silently on the porch, Tank leaning, Benny watching, Dure flicking an unlit cigarette, Ghost crouched on the steps. Malik taps his father's boot, a small gesture saying, "We made it." David steadies his hand on Malik's shoulder, both of them facing the quiet street together. The stillness isn't absence anymore. It's a new boundary. They hold it, knowing the world beyond hasn't changed, but the line has been drawn. The system will try to patch the hole, to pretend nothing's shifted. But on this porch, under the hush of the trees, everyone knows there's a cost to crossing certain lines, and some debts get paid in the dark. The air on the porch holds them all, like the hush before the first notes of a song you know will linger long after the last chord. Malik's wheelchair rests steady, his eyes trained forward, breathing in the cool hint of rain, while David keeps his hand firm on his son's shoulder, as if anchoring both of them to this new moment. Around them, the crew remains silent, each man's gaze stretched far down the street, as if listening for the first soft footfall of change. Light drifts, stretching each shadow into a soft promise. The world slowing until the only sound is the hush of wind moving through old sycamore leaves. In this stillness, no words are needed. The ache of what's past and the uncertainty of what comes next flow together, threading everyone on that porch into a tapestry of shared resolve. Tonight, the battle is over, not won, not lost, but held at bay long enough for breath to return, for wounds to begin healing. The future, vast and unmapped, waits just beyond the porch, but for now, there is quiet, gentle, grounding, and whole. Even as the city's noise and anger wait to surge back, for this moment, David and Malik sit together, hand to shoulder, letting the hush settle and knowing some victories arrive like this. Not with applause, but with peace, with presence, and with the sure knowledge that dignity hard-won and fiercely guarded remains unbroken. If this story moved you, if it made you reflect on justice, courage, or the quiet strength that lives in all of us, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support keeps these voices alive and together. Maybe we can make sure no one faces the dark alone.